Should a photographer use WordPress or Squarespace? Is it a religious battle? Is there a right or a wrong answer? Let's dive in today. Hi, I'm Aaron from techphotoguy.com, and I'm on the road today, but I wanted to dive into a question that I get fairly frequently from photographers that are looking to build or grow their online presence. And that is, should they go with Squarespace or WordPress for their website? Squarespace has the convenience of being one company that you deal with. It's an all-in-one solution with a lot of perceived simplicity around it. WordPress, on the other hand, much bigger market share, but a lot more complexity there as well. And which is the best solution for a photographer? It turns out there's not a single right answer to that. The answer, like many things, is that it depends, but let's dive into how I like to think about the two. So I like to think of WordPress versus Squarespace as a DSLR versus a point-and-shoot camera. Let's explore that analogy. We're familiar with a point-and-shoot camera as photographers. We know that it has several pre-programmed modes, and in a lot of circumstances, it works just great. You turn it on, you put it into one of those pre-programmed modes, and assuming you're not dealing with anything too complex or too out of the ordinary, a point-and-shoot camera can take some pretty good pictures. I liken Squarespace to a point-and-shoot camera. It's got a lot of pre-programmed modes that work well. For a lot of situations, a Squarespace website can do a pretty darn good job. On the other hand, as photographers, we understand that there's some limitations to that point-and-shoot camera. We understand that if you get into a complex lighting situation, or you need to do some fast action work, or other scenarios where you may need to tie in with other equipment, you really need to use a DSLR because that's going to be the most flexible toolkit for the job. And I look at WordPress as being the DSLR of the online world when it comes to website platforms. In that, sure, you can put it in auto mode and take some pretty good pictures, but the real strength in a DSLR and the real strength in WordPress comes when you start to learn how the details work. And when you start to customize it a little bit and take it off of that auto mode and put it into manual mode. And much like a DSLR in manual mode, if you know what you're doing, you can make that camera do pretty much anything. And WordPress is the same way. If you understand how plugins work, if you understand how themes work, or if you work with somebody who does, you can make a WordPress website do pretty much anything. That's one of the reasons why it has 33% market share of the biggest websites in the world. It's one of the reasons why it's a tool of choice for online services and platforms such as CNN and Wired and the Washington Post. And so WordPress can do all of that. On the other hand, as photographers, we know what happens if you give a DSLR in manual mode to somebody who doesn't really understand how photography works. They can take some really bad pictures with that camera because they don't understand shutter speeds and apertures and lighting and things like that. And so WordPress is the same way. The good news is you have the power to do anything that you want. The bad news is that you have the power to do anything that you want, or sometimes things that you don't want. And with that power comes some responsibility. And so, again, there's not a right answer between the two. If you want to do anything at all, you can do it with WordPress. But it sometimes has a learning curve. Sometimes means you might need to hire somebody to take care of some of those more advanced parts. So, which is the right solution for you? Well, again, it depends. That Squarespace website, that point-and-shoot camera, can do a pretty darn good job in most situations. And if you're not trying to do anything too esoteric, if you're not trying to do anything too out of the ordinary or too complex, a Squarespace website can work great, and a lot of photographers are finding it as a perfect solution for them. On the other hand, a WordPress website, that DSLR, can do anything that's possible on the web with enough customization, with enough energy, and with enough work put in to make it do that. If you're willing to do that work or to invest in doing that work, a WordPress website is going to give you the most flexibility that you can have out there. So it's up to you to decide, do you want a point-and-shoot website or do you want a DSLR website? So hopefully this video was useful. If you thought my DSLR versus point-and-shoot analogy made sense, like the video down below. And I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel so you can get my latest updates on topics for modern photographers. Thanks, and I'll see you again next time.